You know what really makes us mad? Is wasting money on CDs with only one or two good songs.
Yeah. Tell them about punk.
What's up, posers? Welcome to Punklottopod. I'm your co-host, Justin Hensley.
I am your other co-host, Dylan Hensley.
And this is the show where we assign our guests a year, and they choose one punk, hardcore, emo, or punk-adjacent album from that year for us to talk about. Today, we are joined by the band If It Kills You. We have the entire band online. All four members of the band are here. This is the biggest episode we've ever had as far as on the line at once. And they just put out their new record, Invisible Self. Self-released it on Bandcamp. It's available for pre-order now, which you can get in the show notes. Excellent record. Highly recommended. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about the year 1995, and the record is a big one. It's Red Medicine by Fugazi. Would you say this is a divisive record in the Fugazi discography?
No. I wouldn't, actually. I'd say maybe at the time it probably was in 1995 when it came out. It was probably more divisive, but I think it's still pretty well regarded, especially for being so different and experimental.
I remember listening to this record for the first time and thinking, what's wrong with it? Because I'd had the idea in my head that it was, oh, that's the bad Fugazi record, or like one of the bad Fugazi records. I'm like, this is good. But what's the beat?
No, in fact, if you actually look at the dorks on Rate Your Music, it's the third highest rated record behind Repeater and The Argument. So critically lauded. For some reason, they really hate Steady Diet of Nothing.
That's my favorite.
I think On the Kill Taker's my favorite, but yeah, the first three are my favorite. But yeah, we do a little bit of that discussion as far as where this ranks is with their placement in the Fugazi discography. I'm very happy that we got to talk about this band really in depth for the first time.
Yeah, we've batted them around from time to time whenever they come up, but no one wants to pick them for some reason.
Yeah.
Our theory is that people think that there's already so much been said about Fugazi that what else are we going to say? But I feel like we said a lot on this episode, and I feel like I could talk about every other record.
Of course.
Pretty in depth, so don't be afraid if you're listening to the show and you're a potential future guest.
Yeah. I genuinely don't think it matters if something has been talked about a lot with other people, and because every person has a different perspective and a different take on everything. So like, yeah, so what if there's like a 4-hour Bandsplain episode on the entire Fugazi discography? That's just two people talking about it. Instead, now you can hear like 6 other people's opinions on it. So, everybody's opinion is valid, but also no one person's opinion, I think, is really necessarily better than another's. So it's all what you like and what you don't like. If you want to hear us talk a little bit more about the year 1995, you can head over to our Patreon, where we just did a chart dive where we talked about all the other big records that came out in 95. Not even big records, too. Very obscure ones mentioned as well. And you get access to our weekly bonus audio, the new release Friday, all of the weekly audio, Moon Pies for Misfits, where I try snacks and drinks. And I think that's everything. That's all on for $1. You get all that. Though, if you want to pick the album we talk about on the show, you can go and pledge $10, which we have one of those coming up soon, which is going to be a fun one. Looking forward to that. And all of that is at patreon.com/punklottopod. We have all our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Elon Musk's Twitter, at punklottopod. And our emails, punklottopod@gmail.com. And our voicemail line, 202-688-PUNK, punklottopod.substack.com. And I think that's all of them. I think we hit them all there. But as of now, enjoy this conversation with If It Kills You.
Lingering shame that's unfazed by time.
We are here with the band If It Kills You, and there are quite a few people on the call right now. So I guess for everyone's listening's sake, how about we go around the quote-unquote room and have each of you say your name and what you do in the band. So whoever wants to start.
I'm Tyler. I play drums in the band.
I'm Kevin. I play guitar and backup vocals.
I'm Mikey. I play bass and a little bit of backup vocals. And I'm Justin, and I play guitar and sing.
Awesome. This is a punklottopod first. We've never had 6 people on a call at once, so this will be fun to listen to. Hopefully, we'll see how well this conversation goes. Let's see. It's kind of cliched to always ask these questions first, but I don't really know a ton about the band's history. So, how did the group come together?
If It Kills You's been a band for probably 7 years now. 7 years, and there's different lineup changes. As the band sits now, this has been a band for probably 2.5 years, I think. Primarily, Tyler joined the band like right before COVID. Played some shows, we were really excited, and then COVID hit. So we just took that energy that we had, and just that excitement of having a new person in the band, and just started writing. And so this is the latest album we just did is the first record with this. So
yeah, with the exception of Rend It, the cover that we did.
Oh yeah, which is a Fugazi cover, which is
yeah
serendipitous to this podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, so the new record is called Invisible Self, and it's really good. Dylan and I both had a chance to listen to it, and we both think it's a fantastic record.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How's the reaction been to it? I mean, I imagine it was good.
Yeah, it's been good. We've enjoyed some of the reception from people. Yeah, I mean, that's all I can say. It's been pretty good. We're really stoked, really happy about it.
For the listeners' description, I'll play a song at the beginning of the episode so they'll be able to hear it for themselves. But when I listen to it, what I get from it is stuff like Hum or Failure or like Jupiter era Cave In, like that kind of stuff. Is any of that kind of a touchstone for you?
Yeah, for
Go ahead, Tyler. Tyler.
I'm chomping at the bit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are definitely like huge influencers for me as a drummer. So big time. And the latest Failure stuff, the early Failure stuff, Hum, same thing. So that's you're spot on with that, at least for the cadence.
And of course, what little Quicksilver or Quicksand? Who's Quicksilver? Quicksand and
Quicksilver Messenger, sir.
And the band we're going to be talking about today, of course. I hear a little bit of that in there too. So it's a really great record, really fun stuff on there. There's not. I feel like this style record, there's not a ton of it anymore. Like there was like a wave of it a while ago, but like it really died down. So it's really fresh to hear this style of music again.
Thank you. No, yeah, a lot of those bands that you mentioned, yeah, definitely big influences for us. Fugazi, Quicksand, those are things that we've adored all of our lives. So it kind of comes out.
Interestingly, so the first time I actually heard about your band was through a Facebook post from the band Songs for Snakes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've been listening to them for a long time, and they shared it saying like, oh, our friends have put out a new record, and so like I was like, oh, cool, I'll check it out. And so how do you know those guys?
Bill's actually on the song Anti-Pattern.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Bill's been a good friend of ours for a long time. Love Songs for Snakes. Yeah, we met them. We met Songs for Snakes probably, I want to say 5 years ago.
Yeah.
San Francisco at the Hemlock.
The Hemlock. Yep.
Yeah. And just BFFs ever since. Actually, did a split 7-inch with them too.
What year was that?
2017.
Oh, okay. Huh. What is that? It seems familiar now. I don't know. Maybe I saw that and just like locked it away and forgot already. But yeah, the article he was sharing was like the Brooklyn Vegan article where it was saying, featuring Jim Ward and Shelby Cinca. And I was like, well, those are two names that are definitely going to get my attention, especially Shelby Cinca, because Dylan's a massive Frodis fan. So
yes.
How'd you wind up working with Jim Ward, and then two, how'd you get Shelby Cinca to do something?
So I have a podcast as well, and the song on the intro is a Frodis song. It's off of
We washed our weapons.
and we washed our weapons in the sea. And I ended up interviewing Shelby, and he was just super nice guy. And he's like, he's so prolific as a songwriter. He was sharing so much of his music. And just if you look at his Bandcamp, it's just so vast. I mean, all the stuff he does. And I ended up sharing our band. And he said, well, if you ever want any guest guitar on your new record or anything, let me know. I was like, what? Yeah. Yeah.
We took up that offer.
Yeah, we took that off immediately. So.
And with Jim Ward, kind of the same tune. Justin did an interview with him, and kind of the same kind of thing. Justin has had a lot of really, really good interviews, and having that connection was really, really cool.
Yeah, Jim just made mention about him doing production, and we were writing this record, and the writing process of it, and sent some demos and started working with him. It's just been great. He's been awesome.
How does producing remotely work out?
Yeah, so this is our first time ever working with a producer at all. So what we did is basically in this situation is from the demos, we'd send him demos. He would give us his notes on the demos. I mean, he was with us from tracking, recording. At the end of every day, we were recording basics. We would send these sessions over to him, and he would listen to the sessions, make notes. The next day, we'd have notes from Jim, all the way to, final mixes, to final mastering, and even, well after that. He's been with us the whole time.
Wow. Did he mix any of it?
No, he didn't mix any. I mixed it here.
Oh, okay. I mean, it sounds amazing. Like, just it has this very massive sound. It's very slick. Like, it just overall, the production is brilliant. I love how it sounds.
Thanks so much. That's awesome. That's really good to hear.
What's the name of that podcast so other people can check it out too?
It's called Songwriting Malpractice. Okay.
I feel like I've heard that name too. My memory's not great, but I feel like I've run across that name. Well, that's awesome. It's a self-released record, is that right?
It is.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. I always commend a band when they self-release vinyl because it's not easy or cheap, but ultimately, like, it's yours. Like, no one can tell you what to do with it. So that it's Mike Park always says, release it yourself if you can. So kudos for y'all for doing that. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you have anything sort of lined up show-wise or special stuff?
We definitely want to get out and play in support of this record, and being that the vinyl situation is the way that it is.
Yeah.
The record just came out April 1st, but there's a delay, so we won't get the vinyl until August, and that's when we definitely do a string of shows and play out and support.
Yeah. Vinyl delay is it's pretty ludicrous at this rate, especially with
I think it's awesome that it's becoming more and more important in this industry to have vinyl, though. I think that it's a bad problem to have when you're fighting for time, because the pressing companies are just so backed up. So that's a good thing. I think positively about that.
Yeah, because it means that the demand is there, right? Like it's not the niche thing quite anymore. Now it's like digital and vinyl is the main thing people care about.
Exactly.
I just think it's so that people are getting used to the fact of the album dropping and then months later, the vinyl coming out. So it's kind of like everybody's kind of adapted to it.
Yeah. I've noticed a lot of bands, they don't tend to do that thing where they wait until like they have vinyl in hand before they start putting up orders for it anymore. Like there's definitely a little bit more of a pre-order sort of status going on with a lot of labels and bands, but also it's usually only a few months out whenever the pre-order is happening. So it's not like you put in the order yesterday and you're like, all right, pre-order time, and we'll wait a year and a half.
Yeah, not too terrible. Yeah.
We just sent the masters to get pressed. Let's go ahead and put the pre-order out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a trip because I buy a lot of vinyl online, and sometimes you forget like a year and a half later, like, oh yeah, that's cool. I bought that record. And then there's times where I bought it twice, not knowing that I already bought it because it's so spaced out that it's like, you're like, okay, cool. I could just give this one to a buddy, but it's so delayed. It's like, sometimes you forget you even order it, but it makes a good surprise when you get home,
Yeah. It's always a surprise when it shows up like fairly soon after you order it too, because you're like, we now are used to the idea of it taking a while, and it's like, oh, it's here already? Wow.
Yeah. Like a month later, you're like, wow, this is
yeah.
great.
Yeah, and back in 5 years ago, if it took 2 weeks to get to you, people would be like, "Where's my record?"
Emailing somebody.
PayPal claims on it. Well, that's awesome. Well, hopefully those will get out sooner rather than later, and you can start playing out. That's exciting.
Yeah, really excited.
Yeah, and to go back to the remote thing too, like
Yeah.
we wrote the record all remotely as well during
Yeah.
this whole. So we did a lot of work from home. We'd send files back and forth. So by the time we were starting working with Jim, we were already used to sort of the process of kind of getting things, in and out in that regard. So it was pretty cool that we were kind of prepped for that. It was interesting, doing it that way because we've always just wrote songs in person, So it was just kind of weird that we were sending files back and ideas, and it was just a very interesting way. And I think I don't know. I don't know if that helped the way we put songs together, or if it was just, it seemed to just flow for us when we were doing it. It didn't seem like it was that difficult. It was just the way we were doing it. And it was just, I think it turned out pretty cool considering the environment that we're in at the time.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think there was only like maybe 2 songs off the record that we like wrote, or 2 or 3 songs off the record we wrote like in the room. And actually, Kevin lives in Santa Rosa, so that's like 6 hours away from us.
Oh, wow.
So all of his songs that he would write, or the songs he would write too, that was all no matter what, COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was the whole record is a remote record for the most part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came to the production on Jim's part, it just seemed like an extension of that.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool because he would pick apart little things and he would say, those snare drums need to be, tighter. And then we would go back and make them tighter. So it was like he was in the room with us a lot of the times,
Exactly.
Little latency there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny too, because he's in what, Mountain Time. So he's an hour ahead of us. So that kind of worked out in our benefit when we were all in the same room recording. We could send him stuff and he had like an extra hour. Send him the notes and the next day the notes would come back a little hour earlier. So it kind of worked.
From the future.
From the future, exactly. We're getting notes.
Yeah, it's almost as if like you were sending something off to be reviewed, like the way it, you'd send it off and like overnight, let's see what he says, and we wake up first thing.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how it was.
Yeah.
And it's like, hopefully we don't have to rewrite this whole song.
Right, because that would be like the, in real life, if he was in person, it would just be like, stop.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was kind of thinking like writing that process being different, like where you're like, the work's been done and now you just have to like kind of respond to it versus, and like work with what you have recorded rather than being like in the heat of the moment and being like, let's change it right now. And like, do you want to change it or do you want to work with what you have?
Well, yeah, and that was really so recording an album, usually like the drums are usually the first thing that gets laid down. So we really did go back and forth for a couple of days, kind of in time when we were choosing the sounds. There's a couple of different kits, a couple of different snare drums, different cymbals that we used. And choosing the sounds was like really important because we wanted to get it right before we started actually laying down tracks. And those were probably the biggest edits, and with like all of the little things that maybe he heard that we didn't. And because guitars are a little bit easier to say, hey, that part needs to clean up. If you have to do that on drums, it's like, yikes,
Yeah, we gotta do the whole song.
Yeah.
And I think just the way we approached with the demo process too, basically the songs were solidified to the
right.
So we had them. I mean, the demo sounded great, but we tweaked things here and there, but not too much. I mean, what you hear on the album is almost exactly how the demo sounded, but just a better quality. But as far as we really didn't write too much, just little segues or stuff like that in between, but for the most part it was a finished product from the demo stage.
Just a little flair.
Yeah.
Pieces of flair.
Just some pieces of flair.
And Jim did that too, so he put some pieces of flair on it. He's on one of the songs too, so that was really cool because he was like, I'm hearing something, I'm hearing that it's missing something, let me do that for you.
Yeah, we're like, okay.
Yeah
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Right. Like you don't want to tell the guys like, you were in At the Drive-In. What do you know?
It's like, do you want to sing? You could like be the singer.
Yeah.
You just want this to be your record?
I'll just play guitar. Sorry, Justin. Totally cool with it.
We basically just bowed down to anything that he did say. We just did it, you know?
Yeah. Feel like he knows what he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Give that notes back, like more like do it more like you did on Wiretap Scars and less like less like Porcelain.
Give me some more Sleeper Car.
Yeah, he was great to work with.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's really cool to work with somebody so renowned, and then work with Shelby Cinca too. Like, that's just a really fun collection of people you've had working, and then the songs themselves wouldn't be what they were without you. So it's a excellent record. I highly recommend people check it out.
Thanks so much.
You had Ben from Sleepy Time Trio, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We love Sleepy Time Trio.
I love that band.
Bats and Mice. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. And everybody that contributed to the record, the nicest people. They were so nice. They were so cool. And it's like, these people are like our heroes. Like Sleepy Time Trio, Frodis, At the Drive-In, all these people, they were so cool. So it was so much fun to work with them and just have them on our record. We feel honored.
Absolutely.
You probably know that feeling too from doing the podcast, but doing our show too, we've had people that we love and look up to, and it's just like, wow, I can't believe we just kind of like shot the shit with like somebody that, we loved and have been listening to for 15 years or more,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Everyone should check it out. I believe the record's available on Bandcamp.
Yep.
And I'll make sure to include links to that in the show notes. So
you can pre-order off the Bandcamp as well.
Yeah, I'll make sure to include that. And let's get into the rest of the format of the show then. So
awesome.
The premise of the show is we assign our guests a year, and they choose one punk, hardcore, emo, or punk adjacent record from that year for us to talk about. And we gave you the year 1995. And before we get to the record we're talking about today, what are some albums that came out that year that you were considering talking about? Like, maybe we could do an episode on this.
There's too many.
Yeah.
That's such a good year, man.
Tyler had a nice little list we had to trim down a little bit. So
yeah,
he was fighting tooth and nail over there about it. So what do you got there, Tyler?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many good albums that year, and I was young. I listened to those albums not in 1995, so, but just to name like a couple, I mean, Deftones' Adrenaline came out. Obviously, Hum would have been, You'd Prefer an Astronaut would probably have been, like if you were just asking me the question and not the band collectively, I probably would have chose that. Brian St. Pierre as a drummer is a huge inspiration to me. Rest in peace. He passed away, but he's he kind of molded me into the listening wise, molded me into the kind of drummer that I wanted to be. He had a crazy amount of dynamics, and I'm kind of biased when I pick a band. I'm basically just picking a drummer,
Yeah.
But I don't play any other instruments, so I just kind of go head over heels over drummers. So he was great. I love the songs. They were kind of super underground. Not very popular. I think one of the biggest things they ever did was they were on a car commercial, So they were on a Cadillac commercial. They played Stars off that album on a Cadillac commercial.
Yeah.
I do remember, because I was born in 86, so I would have been like 9 when that record came out. But I do remember hearing Stars on the radio when I was a kid, and I always remember being like, this song's cool. What is this band? I don't think I even knew their name then. It's one of those type of things. Like, you're 10 years old and you're like, who?
I think Stars was on a 4-in-1 skate commercial or skate video.
Skate video, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that was probably the first time I heard that song.
They were one of those. They had that song. That song stayed on alternative radio playlists for a really long time, which was so odd because they had no other songs. On radio, no other hit singles.
That was it, huh? That was the hit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's so dynamic itself. Like that song like starts very quietly and then huge. So I think that's why it stood out so much in that radio landscape, because you're just like, what is this song?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It grabs your attention. Yeah, there was a lot of great records in 1995.
That Captain Jazz album is amazing. I remember when I ordered that from Heart Attack, or the Abolition mail order. I was in 95, I was a junior in high school. So I must have listened to that album. I still own the exact, I never really sold any of my records, but I still have that record that I got. So I just remember, like, who the hell are these guys? It was just so chaotic and just amazing.
Yeah, that's
the one that has Puddle Splashers.
Yeah, that's the really long album title. Burritos, Inspiration Point, Fork Balloon. Yeah, really long title. Yeah.
But just Tim Kinsella's lyrics are just like, bonkers. It's great.
If you've never heard that, like, out of nowhere, that band, you're just like, what the hell is even going on here?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You hear him, I mean, like, kitty kitty cat, skinny neck hex. Head thing heavy, like, you're like, what is this guy talking about? But I love it. I mean, I wish I would have got to see them live. But
were they one of the first bands to like do that kind of song titling? I have a hard time thinking of anybody else who was doing like names like that.
It's definitely something. Yeah. It definitely comes from this time period. I can't think of anyone else.
No, I mean, because they incorporated like horns, but they weren't played very well.
Yeah.
It was like intentionally just to create like sound or whatever.
Spastic, yeah.
I remember, and then a few years later, Constantine Sancotti did the same thing. They were pretty awesome too. But that Captain Jazz record, Dear You, of course.
Yeah, that job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Massive record. Jawbreaker's currently doing a tour playing that record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With these like wild lineups too.
Right.
Like every show has like a crazy good lineup on it. It's like, what? And comedy. There's a comedian on every show too.
Is there really? Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like here's Jawbox, here's Sam Ham, here's the Cynics. Oh, there's Face to Face.
Here's Mikey Lee doing stand up. Dude, I would have opened it.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm not very funny, so.
That's not true. Yeah, stacked years for sure.
Yeah.
So many good records.
Yeah, we've covered 1995 in the past before, and I think that that year there's the Unwound record, The Future of What.
Oh yeah.
We did the Dead Guy record. Did we do anything else? Let's see. I don't know. We may have done something else, but it's not jumping off at the page currently. But yeah, good year. It's kind of like whenever we look at these lists and kind of to get an idea of what like the overall like trends and sounds were whenever we're talking about a record. And to me, yes, you had like, as far as like more alternative rock and modern rock stuff, you had like the grunge explosion in the earlier part of the 90s, and then Green Day has Dookie in 94. But to me, like, once you dig past those top layer bands, it's just like kind of not necessarily the best years overall. You get to 95, and I say like 95 to, I don't know, 2000. Like, it's just these stacked years from front to back of just like amazing records.
And really diverse.
Yeah.
A lot of different sounds.
Yeah.
It was like the golden years of hardcore.
Defining sound. Yeah, like, genre defining sounds that you still hear today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, if anyone has any other records they want to mention, we can. If not, we can move on.
No,
I can't remember any other ones.
When we kind of knew when we seen Fugazi on there doing that one.
Yeah.
But there was there were so many other good records. We're like, I don't know, Tyler might fight us on this one. There's hums on this one.
We had to wrestle, so we wrestled it out.
Okay.
We love hum too.
I actually will throw another one out there because that was also the year of Sunday Day Real Estate LP2. And dude, that thing was life changing also for me, and and my brother and my friends, and it was just an insane album to come out. And obviously, those guys, that their music careers are still not over. They're still doing different things. Nate, I don't even know if Nate was on that album. Was he on that one?
I think he was.
Yeah, it was his last record.
Yeah,
okay,
he wasn't
cool.
on How It Feels, and
yeah.
by that time.
And even their drummer, William, can't remember his last name right now.
Goldsmith.
Will Smith, yeah. He, his new band came out this just recently too, and dropped something. So they're all still doing something, which is really cool. But that album was really good. Definitely worth noting.
We're just waiting for a Sunny Day comeback, right?
Yeah, it actually might be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're a band who does kind of do that though, right? Like they do the come and go thing.
They'll play Coachella every once in a while.
Yeah.
This
Not
is
anymore.
That's
Like
the
Cardi
record
B.
with that's the record with the song that's on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't get over the Sunny Day Real Estate is on a Batman soundtrack.
right there with Seal. Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't the Seal one,
Offspring.
unfortunately. This is the one with you. Oh, it is the one with Seal. That's right. It is.
Yeah.
Because it's Brandy and yeah.
Which song, Justin? Sing it for us real quick.
Is it Kiss from a Rose?
I think it is. You let it rip, dude.
Maybe later in the conversation.
Yeah, Dylan, anything that Dylan and I actually just did kind of like a deep dive on the year 1995 over on the Patreon, where we dig through the charts, and I guess for context's sake, this is the year of Insomniac by Green Day, Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt, and Out Come the Wolves by Rancid. I'd say those are probably the like Cheshire Cat by Blink. Like those are the mainstream touchstones to give people an idea what's.
I mean, you can back it out further and Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. Radiohead put out The Bends.
Those are all right albums, right?
There's
Fine.
They
They're like masterpieces.
Yeah. Oh, well, so we gave you 95, and let's talk about the record you actually chose. So you selected Red Medicine by Fugazi.
I'm sick with this, I'm sick with this. Situation of violence, lost judgment. My own sweet time, didn't teach what I fought. I didn't recognize simple things anymore. I don't wanna be defeated, I don't wanna be defeated, I don't wanna be defeated, I don't wanna be
few stats on Fugazi, which these are kind of the same stats because the great thing about Fugazi is they were consistent from front to end. So they're from Washington, D.C., formed in 1986. This was released June 12th of 1995, middle of the summer. This is their fourth studio album, and it was released on Discord Records. And the personnel is Ian Mackay on guitar and vocals, Guy Picciotto. Is that how we say it? I've never.
Picciotto, yeah.
Picciotto. On guitar, vocals, and clarinet. Joe Lally on bass and vocals, and Brendan Canty on drums. And the record was actually produced by the band themselves because they were kind of tired of the producer process, so they decided to do it on their own.
This is the first record they didn't go with Ted Nicely.
Yeah.
No, he did. He assisted in it, I believe.
I think this is the first one he didn't.
Yeah, he's not involved in this one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I knew they produced it, but I thought he was part of it too, like the middle part. But
Don Zientara's on here as an engineer, but yeah. He
recorded everything, but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
sounds great. Yeah.
They tried to do the one record with Albini too, and they like hated how it sounded.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like,
did they record with Albini?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
Jawbreaker
they
did, and they ended up re-recording a lot of it.
That's what I was going to say. Both those bands went and recorded. Yeah, and then Jawbreaker redid a lot with Billy Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did like 3 or 4 songs off 24 Hour. But yeah,
They
just on
did-
Killtaker. They did
Yeah.
Albini.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
And you
They
can
did
hear
the
some of
whole
those
thing with them.
demos.
And then like they hated it and they just went back to DC. Or, you know, yeah. That's wild that they're like, Albini? No thanks. But let's see, what year was that? It was
94.
That was 93.
So, this YouTube link says 92 Albini sessions. So I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Here,
Yeah.
Fugazi's notorious 92 recording session. So this was been, what, pre-Nirvana even? Like, it's nuts. Huh.
I like the sound of those demos. They're very Albini-ish. They're very bombastic and big and gnarly. But yeah, they're you know, and on Killtaker, how it sounds now is great too.
Yeah.
Did they say why they didn't like the? I haven't read into it, but did they say why they
I
didn't?
could be
like
mistaken, but I think that Albini and them both had a discussion. Like, yeah, I just don't think we really. So they just kind of parted ways on this.
Gotcha.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, according to this is an article on Culture Creature. Not sure. Music and Culture in Conversation. Don't know what the site is, but it says on the drive home from Chicago, Fugazi listened to the cassettes of the recording. After conferring, they agreed this is not a good recording. Albini soon sent the band a fax that concurred. I blew it, he wrote.
over facts, man.
That's all.
Oh man!
Here we go.
Just
The
waiting
fax
for
is
it to
coming
come
in.
down. Like,
It's okay. Here we go. It's printing out. It's like, oh yeah, okay.
You probably just scribbled it on a piece of paper and fed it through
Yeah.
the fax machine too.
Yeah, it says even though they all experienced a great sense of camaraderie during the sessions, the results were lacking. That's funny that they all were like, yeah, it's just not that good.
They all just agreed, like, yeah, let's just move on.
They're all
Okay.
civil about it.
That's funny because you usually don't have Albini and Civil in the same like conversation usually. That's wild.
and on paper, you know, you'd think that those two together would be
Like it would work, right?
fantastic.
We actually
we got both records, so
we actually had some studio time booked with Albini, or at least at the studio.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, so we weren't able to do it.
that was
We
pretty
still
much what
have
was
it.
going to be this record. is
Right.
Yeah.
We were going to go to we had studio time at Electrical Audio with Albini, and we were super pumped, obviously.
Yeah.
But things worked out, and we're super excited about the way things ended.
Honestly,
So
it would have
they got their
just
way out there.
yeah. You could do something later, of course, but
Yeah.
this record would have sounded completely different, I think, too.
Yeah.
Like just because this one's so slick that like Albini's style is more, I don't know, more live, I guess. So
Yeah,
it would have sounded just completely different. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we would have had probably issues with time constraints too if we were
Yeah.
with Albini. We basically had infinite amount of time with this album.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we basically took our time because, we recorded just in studio and money wasn't an option. It was just our time and Justin's time. Justin put a lot of hours into this thing, but for the most part, we were able to do everything that we wanted to do and come out with a finished product that we were all, that we combed over multiple times and just kind of, I think we're all happy with the outcome
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Albini can
plenty
have
of
the
time
next
to-
one.
There we go.
And we got to secure our time too, so we still have time over there.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect then.
Yeah.
We'll do a 7-inch or something.
Yeah. Well, so the first thing I usually ask our guests is, what made you choose this album?
I'm just gonna say that it's a great record. It's probably one of Fugazi's more ambitious records, and probably a record that probably challenged their fan base, right? Coming from, their more punk rock fans, punk rooted, going into this record, which is more of like an ambient record, and there's slower songs on there that I could see really challenging that fans. It's just a solid record. And like some of the songs when I first heard it, as 15, I was even like, oh, I don't know, man, this is super slow. But these are the songs that like grew on me and just like affected me. So it's just a great.
Yeah, and even parts, that were of the Fugazi style in the beginning, like when you hear the intro to like "Do You Like Me" or even like "Birthday Pony," there's still those hidden elements of the heavy, like the token Fugazi, like choruses or just guitar styles, and it would just carry each song. It was just, there's that little style that they had always, that reminded you of Fugazi. And I just think, same thing. It just took a little while to digest, but for the most part.
Yeah, for me, it was just, this was actually the first Fugazi record I heard. Because I lived in the mountains. We didn't know what music was. So I went down to the town where all the people were. And there was a music store there. And I was like going through all the Metallica records that I'd been listening to. And then I was like, okay, this is interesting cover. So I just grabbed it. And when I first heard it, I was like, okay, this is a trip. I like it. And now listening, like Kevin said, listening to the other records after that is like, there's a taste of some of the, the older stuff, but then there's like just some weird out there stuff in there. And that's actually what brought me in, was that just kind of weird thing. Cause I was just listening to a bunch of metal, and just being a metal kid. And then just listening to that record just kind of changed it for me. And it was just kind of a strange thing. And then kind of caught my attention and just dove in deeper after that.
Where does this one, as far as Fugazi records go, where does this one rank for each of you?
Well, it's kind of hard to rank anything above the first three albums. For me personally, I mean, Repeater's my favorite by far. But between, if I had to, Repeater, it would be Repeater. I don't know, Steady Diet and On the Kill Taker are their heavy second for sure. It would probably be, fourth, just like they're.
Yeah.
Just how it's laid out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I their catalog is timeless, but for me, it's definitely not as amazing as the first three. But
I think for me,
I just probably where I was and how much significance those have in that time in my life, So they just have more meaning, like to where I was and what was happening in my life around the time listening to those first three.
For me, it's definitely probably got to be in On the Kill Taker. This one's great, and it's probably smack dab in the middle. It's probably like, third or fourth on the list. And being, to me, to my ears, this one sounds the best as far as like sound quality. Like this sounds super well recorded. And that snare throughout the whole record is so massive. It's like so loud. It's like well above the vocal, which is pretty rare, right?
Yeah.
It's probably ranked third or fourth for me. It's like In On the Kill Taker, Steady Diet right underneath that, Repeater, Medicine.
Yeah, I probably, I'm the odd man out. I'd probably put The Argument in number one position for me. I absolutely love that album. This would probably fall in line for 2 or 3, I'd say.
I'm glad you say that. I love The Argument.
Yeah.
I think people forget it because it's the last record, and most people go through the first 3 records, and then I think Red Medicine is just too weird for a certain kind of punk fan, and then they just don't keep going. And I love that record. I think it's such a good ambient, slow, thoughtful record that is maybe not quite as like sprawling and ambitious as like Red Medicine and then Hits. It's not as experimental. I think it's kind of where they took that experimental phase and put it back together.
Yeah. Life and Limb, great song on that album. But they did a lot of really fun things with percussion too, kind of on everything, That's always been, actually we kind of pulled a little bit of inspiration from that on our song on our album Cloak and Dagger. That's very Fugazi-esque. That the ending of that song has a very kind of Fugazi-esque drum part.
The double drums. I was gonna say you probably like The Argument because there's 2 drummers in there.
Yeah.
The more drummers, the better.
I'm like, dude, it's just double the fun, man.
He's like, how about 3 drummers, dude?
So, weirdly, we've yet to cover a Fugazi record on the show. This is the first time we're like 180 plus episodes into the show, and no one's picked a Fugazi record yet. So, it's one of those things where I guess it's like, well, that's such an obvious pick. But also at the same time, it's like, well, we haven't even hit some of the obvious picks, so let's go ahead, pick it, and talk about it. I guess people in general are just kind of like, well, what else can we say about this record? But when they're as good as they are, I feel like there's still plenty to talk about.
Right. Justin kind of nailed it. Just the level of intensity on the drums for this album is really what made me really like it. And it's like he just knows what to play, when to play it, and it feels like it just always fits the song so well, even as like chaotic as something could be, and then as raw as it could be too. He just always sit well in the mix of things, for playing just the right parts, you know.
Yeah, and he plays in a way too that like really gets you to notice it. So like, you can't say that about every single band, you know. Like a lot of bands, you're just like, you hear the first couple of drum hits and then it kind of just moves into the, oh, that's what a drum sounds like on this type of song. But there's something about the way that Brendan Canty plays. It's just like in the middle of a track, you'll be like, oh, wow, listen to what he's doing over there, you know?
Yeah.
It's very creative.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like that.
Yeah, they make I don't know. I think because before they'd tour, they'd practice their entire catalog. So I just think they were insanely in tune with each other. And they could jam effortlessly, and it's almost like they read each other's minds, and they could just, I don't know, a lot of their stuff, especially on this album, because there seems like they were allowed more freedom to experiment with stuff like that, with stuff that they normally wouldn't do, and that's what comes through in all the the experimental parts of this album.
Probably because they didn't have a producer telling them to stop.
Just keep going. Do this weird thing. Let's keep going.
Come on, guys. We need to record the song where you yell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Birthday Pony. What are you talking about?
Could you even imagine playing or practicing that much? Like that's just crazy. I might even like practicing that much. I may even be able to learn how to play the bottom two strings of the bass if you practice that much, you know. But it's pretty crazy, right? The amount of time they put in, and practicing the whole catalog is wild. You know, just doing it as a normal thing and just kind of keeping tight and just in tune all the time. It's just crazy.
Having like towards the end, having over 100 songs.
Yeah.
And practicing all those before you go out because you don't have a set list.
That's probably why they don't tour anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. Because
I'm good.
It's awesome.
That's probably why they never reunited, because it's just like, I don't want to learn all 100 again.
It's impossible. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Daunting task.
I mean, if I don't see the set list, I'm lost, man. It's over.
Maybe what we should do as fans is write a set list and push them back into a reunion show. Say these are the songs that these, you know, thousands of people want you to play on a tour.
Can you imagine asking Fugazi to play the hits? Like it's that's why they'll never do it. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I don't even think it's the money thing. I think it's just like, I don't think they'll ever do what someone expects them to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the whole thing where, you know, when they play shows, they always pull bands in that it's different. You know, they always just approached everything differently, which was cool. I mean, when they played in Bakersfield here in Bakersfield, they, you know, had some locals open up.
Yeah,
and it was
they
just
usually
really,
do that.
I mean, yeah, and it's just really cool, right? Because it's like, what, you know, your friend calls you like, dude, I'm opening up for Fugazi. You're like, what? Like, I'll kill you. I'm in, dude. What do you need me to do? I'll play the triangle.
I'm opening up.
Yeah.
Give me the tambourine, man.
Yeah, just let me stand up there just for a minute, dude. It's just pretty cool, right? It's just the approach on everything, really.
Yeah, you definitely saw a lot of bands where like the locals were like, I didn't know they added a third guitar to this band.
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden, everyone that we know is up there playing. It's like the ska band now.
Now they got a brass section now?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a poetry reading.
Right.
You just got a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones dancing guy in there now, too.
Right.
There's somebody up there painting.
Yeah, it's a Broadway play now. Like it's out of control. Out of control.
Did any of you get a chance to see them live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw them one time.
Yeah.
I've seen them probably 10 times, I'd say.
Wow, that's awesome.
I followed them up and down California one year.
Oh,
Saw them playing Dolores Park in San Francisco, a Food Not Bomb show. That was amazing. That's pretty once of a kind or once in a lifetime thing.
Do you know if any of those shows got archived?
Well, the two Bakersfield ones did. I don't know if the Food Not Bomb San Francisco one got archived. I don't know. I haven't even looked for it.
The El Cajon,
Juarez Hall.
Yeah, Bakersfield one got archived. And you listen to it at the beginning, and somebody in the crowd's like, "White trash," and he's like, "What does it mean, sir? What does it mean?
What are you saying? What's happening?"
I just think there's one scene or one part. I don't know if it's in the recording. It might be, or if it was in the Juarez or the Cajon. But they went to Fresh and Easy, and Guy's like, "So we went to Fresh and Easy, not so fresh." I was like, "Oh man." It was like a buffet, you know. Was it Fresh and Easy? I think that's what it was called, Fresh something.
Right.
It was like a buffet kitchen style.
Oh, that's salad.
Oh,
yeah.
As
soon as you walk in, there's like build your own salad. And there's
not so fresh.
Not so fresh.
Pizza bar. Not so fresh.
That's great.
You know, it's funny. It just brings to mind like this idea of like we've all been to shows, hundreds probably at this point, like. And there are those shows where you're just like the banter stuck in your head more. And like even years later, you'll quote stuff like that. Like Dylan and I are always referencing like a time that like Sam I Am was making fun of like a Mexican restaurant in Florida because they were like, we sat there forever. It's like, man, I can make a burrito with 2 fingers. And just like he mimed making a burrito with 2 fingers. And like we quote that all the time. It's just like, oh, I can make it with 2 fingers.
I've tried it actually. The 2-finger burrito fold.
Did it turn out okay? Or...
I would need to practice it more to be able to do it efficiently, but it can be done.
Didn't fall apart.
Well, I don't know. I didn't eat it. It probably fell in someone's lap in the car.
Just get messy 2 fingers.
So I was looking up a couple different reviews from around the time period that this album came out. And a lot of the comments were this record is they're doing something really different, and it kind of has a reputation for being the record that I would say changed directions, but they definitely began to experiment way more and trying out different things that they never would have done before. And I think I don't know that every idea works 100%, but they're always interesting regardless of. I'm like, I love that clarinet song, you know, or just like the some of the weird stuff that's on this album.
I mean, it's just the record opening up. You're like, what is it? Like right off the bat, you're like, okay, what did I hit the wrong thing here? Like, you know, it's just a trip.
That squashed like boombox noise piece that it kind of makes its way into like several of the songs, right? You know, it starts off with Do You Like Me? It's in a bunch of different songs, kind of gives this album like this cohesive common thread. And like the clarinet song and some, you know, got snare drums going through like dub sounding like rolling space echoes and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, they did they put delays on version, right? They did a delay drum on that one.
But yeah, there's even
the clarinet, right?
Yeah.
There's even just like, I feel like listening to this album, there's just lots of just noise on it, meaning like they're clanging around a lot between tracks or like lead-ins to songs or outros. Like it's just a lot of just way a band like Dillinger 4 uses feedback on like almost every song, or, you know, just throwing in these little like click and clack mechanical sounding almost things all over the record.
There's household items.
Yeah.
Hey, go over there and get the pot real quick. We're gonna bring the pot in here. We're gonna go get a spoon.
Bang it on that piano.
Yeah.
I need a stapler.
remember watching. It was like a in studio thing with that band Black Eyes. They're also a Discord band. They put out 2 records on Discord, but they recorded the record with Don Zientara, and Ian MacKaye was there too. And they show Ian's just like, at some points he's just like carrying around like a drum. And he's like, what can we do to this? And it's just like looking for stuff to do to the drum to make it sound different in there. So like I have to imagine it was just like that on this album.
Yeah. Instrument. They're recording Red Medicine on instrument, right?
On instrument,
so
yeah.
You get to see a lot of behind the scenes tape parts of them recording the record, so it's pretty cool. So they're having a good
recording in different locations and different parts of houses and doing weird obscure things to it. They paved the path for other bands to do that too. You know, that's what I think that a lot of bands probably attribute their weirdness to, is going back and, you know, recording a utensil drawer dropping on the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
But
yeah,
then
if you're playing the same sort of, I mean, you're playing your style, you're playing for the first 3 records, you're doing that, and then people hear this record and like, oh, okay, I can do something different. So bands, you know, it kind of gives you if you look up to them in that way, it's like, okay, cool, I actually could do some other stuff. And, you know, people may not, you know, people may get a little pissed a little bit, but, you know, come back to it, maybe expand kind of your sound a little bit. And I think it's just kind of cool and creative to do that every once in a while and just kind of throw something in new you're not used to, and kind of shakes it up a little bit.
I like how in instrument they show all the people at the shows and they're talking about Fugazi that maybe not in a good light, and they just kept that in the video. You know, people are like, you know, they don't allow me to mosh anymore. You can't fuck with Ian MacKaye. You know, Black Flag. This guy saying that Ian MacKaye was in Black Flag. I just love this, all the critiques. If you're gonna be that experimental, I guess you're gonna have to accept some criticism. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I feel like I don't think that this group of individuals is particularly known for being like, oh, they didn't like it. Oh.
No.
It's like, cool, you don't like it? I don't give a shit.
Whatever.
My friend says caffeine is a drug.
Yeah.
Well, tell your friend,
fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. I was just having an unsweetened iced tea. Unsweetened iced tea. I almost watch that every day, just so you guys know.
What's I can't remember if it was in instrument or not, or if it was in one of the live videos or footage, but where there's some guy being tough in the crowd, and Guy's like, hey man, he's like, I saw you outside earlier, and you're not so tough. He's all, you were eating ice cream. Fucking ice cream. He's all, you're not so tough. You're an ice cream eating motherfucker.
That's so good.
Like, what do you say to that? You're all, damn.
Was eating ice cream.
You deny it.
I was.
I was.
I never eat ice cream.
I wasn't enjoying it.
I
was holding it for my friend. This is my friend's ice cream.
I was protecting the ice cream.
It made my head hurt.
That's so funny.
Even though this album is like one of their more experimental, or at least a step in a direction of a more experimental sound, that it was their most commercially successful record. Weirdly, it was like it peaked at number 126 on the Billboard 200 chart, and then was number 2 on the Heat Seekers chart. You know, those hot up and comers, Fugazi.
Right. I think it was just that time too. It was all that stuff was coming to light, coming to surface because of Green Day and all these other bands that were bringing punk and that type of genre to the mainstream.
Well, yeah, and I can definitely see it's like you've heard about this band, like, oh, I've heard about Fugazi, I need to check out this band Fugazi, and you go to the record store and you see they have a new record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You buy that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think there's definitely like the right time and place.
Dylan, who were we just talking about that we were like, what? That was a major label record? I cannot remember what it was now. But it was just somebody you were like, oh, 7 Seconds. Like,
7 Seconds, yeah.
They were on a major at this time period. I'm like, whoa, 7 Seconds? Which is just funny.
95?
Yeah.
What record was that?
Yeah.
Was it?
We just talked about it today.
It's not.
It's the one with the boombox on the cover.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
It's not well regarded. It's
exactly.
Yeah, I bought that. I bought
The music-
that record as a kid, and I did not like it. Like,
Yeah.
$20 on this thing.
The music, the message.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then but like who was it? Who signed Shudder to Think to Epic? Was it? It was just like Shudder to Think. Like even punks have a hard time listening to that band. Like I love that band, but that's not easy mainstream appeal.
Yeah.
Right.
But even on this, so back to this record though, like even on the songs where it is like more traditional Fugazi, like the fast hardcore songs that they have, they do stuff like that weird guitar on Bed for the Scraping. Just that.
I love that. Yeah.
It's so.
It's like constant noodling. That whole song is just. It's like I don't know who's playing that, but his fingers are probably aching by the end of that song.
It's one of my favorite Fugazi songs.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's such a
so
good
wild.
song.
I like that song too.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Kevin, you kind of did that on one of our songs.
Oh,
on
Tap
Army of the Forces.
Yeah.
Shred, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for
Hardly.
Bed for the Scraping, the tapping part is what inspired Shelby Cinca to do the song There Will Be No More Scum.
Mhm.
So he said he was inspired by
Bed for the Scraping.
Bed for the Scraping, how it's like tapping, but it's not like metal, and it's got this like, it's very vibey. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is cool. That's funny that there's like a direct tie to this album specifically and yours. That's amazing. Yeah, there's like
Fun fact.
yeah.
J-Mar dropping fun facts.
Little fun fact. Little trivia.
And Kevin is just carrying that torch, dude, with our album, man.
Keep it going, bro.
What are some standout tracks on the album for you all?
Definitely
Target
Bed for the
is
Scraping. Target.
Bed for the Scraping.
Target.
Target is
Long
great.
Distance Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long Distance
found.
Runner.
Go ahead.
I was saying Long Distance Runner. It's not like your typical end of the album type song too.
Yeah.
You know, it really ends like just falls off. But it's oh man, it's great.
Yeah. I thought the back half of the album, I think I liked the most. It was like this really fun string towards the end with Target, Back to Base, and Down City. Like I just really liked all three of those in a row.
Hyphy.
Yeah, it's almost like
They're
it
the
peaked,
hyphy ones.
then valleyed, then peaked again. It's basically because it's like the middle was just a lot of slow and ambient stuff, but then it basically starts off high, goes down and calms down, and then ends on a high note.
Yeah. How do you all feel about the version, the clarinet track?
I like it. It's weird. It's weird as shit. I mean, come on, it's weird as fuck. But
I love it.
Let's be real.
The bass line is so sick.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's got a great melody carrying it out. And it's the song like they're like pumping like some dub drums.
Yeah.
The clarinet. It's cool. It's very cool. How about you? You asked the question as though maybe you don't like that one.
So I actually do like it, but I think that if it was longer than it was, like it's a 3-minute 20-second song,
Right.
and then like the clarinet doesn't come in till a little bit into the track. But if it was like one of those, because I feel like a lot of bands would kind of do that, where they're like, let's take our worst impulses and drag it out to like a 6-minute track.
Yeah.
It's short enough, and I'm glad they don't have like 12 of these in their discography too, you know.
Yeah,
There's 3 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Combination Lock reminds me of like a segue in between their songs. It's something like they do live,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if any of their other albums had 2 instrumentals on them besides this one. But
Yeah.
Is this also the first record? Is Joe Lally sing on any other records?
yeah,
Is
he
he?
sings on End Hits, I believe.
This is the first time he's
This
sang
is the
thus
first time
far.
he sang though. Yeah.
Yeah.
By you.
He sings on Recap Modati on In Hits.
Gotcha.
I believe, and then they called it Bayou because it was like slow and sludgy, like swampy, you know. But they like the Bayou, but they spelled it a different way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, listening to that one too, I was like you could hear Joe singing, of course, but like listening to it, and if you've ever heard any of Joe's solo records, you're like, yeah, that's a Joe Lally song. Like you could tell that like he wrote that one just because how different it is. It's a very feedbacky song, which they have a lot of feedback in their music, but it was like feels like they just wrote the song in feedback.
It's very like, yeah, Joe Lally, because like whenever you see him play, he's just always like in the back. He just, he really doesn't have any facial expression change, and the
Just
way he
chilling.
sings is like,
Yeah.
it's indicative of like who he is on stage. It's just like calm and cool and collected, but just like he's coming up with some amazing melodies.
But you even hear it in the way he sings on that song too. Like he doesn't have the dynamics of Guy or like the impact of Ian. I mean, it comes from not being the lead singer of a band, the whole time, but it's a different feel for sure.
100%. Yeah, Long Distance Runners, fucking great song. I feel like Ian does this a lot, where he does this like batshit crazy scream, like just it's like it's not like a hardcore scream. It's just batshit like distress or something, and he like does that in the middle of the song, like just this batshit crazy scream with these ugly guitars, and that's it. Like kind of mixed in the middle of a lot of sweet melody and ambient sound. So it's cool. Some contrast in that.
Well, and then I also love any song that like Ian's laughing in, and then you hear him laughing in Birthday Pony, and it's just like,
yeah,
because I feel like there's even Minor Threat songs where you can hear him laughing too.
Yeah,
and it's just you don't hear a lot of laughter in music, like or if you do, it's like what?
Pop. Yeah, pop, hip hop.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or like you're doing.
Yeah.
Tyler, do that again.
Look at the sound clip of that.
Or you're doing like Flipper,
Yeah.
or Henry Rollins and the Liar.
Yeah.
I love that he says like ho ho ho's in that song too.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of things in this record that's like, even though it's a super like polished record for Fugazi. I mean, maybe In on a Kill Taker was pretty well recorded and everything as well. This feels like another notch up as far as sound sonically. But I still feel like there's like there's hair around it. There's like the laughter you speak of. There's like amp hum and hiss, and like it even sounds like one of the songs, like it sounds like maybe, just maybe, Brendan Canty like did a little rim shot on accident. And I played it back over and over as we're getting ready to do this podcast. It's like, is
that combination lock?
I think so, but it's like fuck, it was Fell Destroyed, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
But it's like he's so fucking cool, his mistakes are.
Yeah.
And that bell he has.
Like,
the Liberty Bell that he has or whatever. I mean,
yeah.
That thing's so awesome. It's like, give me more bell.
It's iconic.
I even love like there are these like random spots on the record too where like the guitar work is a little bit more jangly, a little softer. So like they even on this record where they're doing really weird stuff, there's like which I guess even the lighter side of Fugazi was kind of a different thing for them to be doing at this point.
Well, and think about In on the Kill Taker is a record in their discography that I think of as being non-stop, like heavy. I think of it as being like the most densely heavy record in their discography, and that's the one right before this like blown apart, spacey, jangly. I mean, it has its heavy moments and its noisier parts, but it's not that laser focused like hardcore of the previous record.
Maybe that's the call and response to it. Maybe that's why they felt the need to make this run and as spacey and as weird as it got.
Yeah, it's definitely, even thinking of other hardcore records or other punk records from this time period, it's like it's not. I don't know. I would say maybe in general, 95 is not that adventurous with some of the choices that some of these bigger, well-known records are. But that's not to say they're not quality records, but I guess it's whenever, a band like Fugazi, who is as important as they are, they're like, do something as weird as they can with their own sound, I even looked at the other Discord records that came out in 95, and 95 is not a great year as far as the Discord discography is concerned, because the only other LPs they put out a Trusty record, Slant 6, and Branch Manager, who I do like Branch Manager, but they're definitely one of the more obscure 90s bands. And then there's a handful of 7-inches from Crown Hate Ruin, Blue Tip, The Warmers, and Lungfish. So it's not like there's not really another record on Discord that year to really be like, oh, that one, that's amazing. You know, it's just like
designed it that way.
Yeah, I was about to say that's the play, dude, right there.
No. Your records are coming out this year.
We're hitting this, dude, and you guys are going to come out in 96, 97 down the road.
You know, now
They
I
went
really
all
want to
in.
know.
Yeah.
Now I really want to know.
The Warmers here when they played. That's Alex's band, right?
Yeah.
Warmers.
Yeah.
That's
They
where
opened for Fugazi at one of the shows here, or one of the shows in Bakersfield.
that's where Amy, Ian's wife,
Right.
came from too.
Right.
She was there, and like what was it? Slant 6 was Autoclave post project, and
Yeah.
what was Trusty's deal? I don't remember what Trusty. They're just like a band that I know from the the Discord discography, but I don't really know their full.
Yeah, so what records did come out in 96, 97 on Discord? Like,
Yeah,
let's see what they put on hold and see what.
Yeah.
Well,
I want to indulge in my
Lungfish put out Sound in Time, and Crown Hate Ruin put out Until the Eagle Grins. So there are your weirder, more out there Discord records getting pushed to the next year.
Yeah.
So just kept it weird.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, Discord does just kind of stay weird after this.
I mean, yeah, there's a Smart Went Crazy record.
The first Blue Tip record came out in 96, which is pretty straightforward, which I love. And the Warmers, self-titled. So yeah, 96 is a bigger year for the other bands on the label. It probably was just like I don't want to put a record out the same year as Fugazi.
Yeah, right. You guys release one, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait.
We'll wait. Yeah.
Too bad, branch manager.
Sorry,
You're on the slate.
Sorry, buddy.
Didn't get to regional branch manager.
Yeah.
Also, this record on Red Medicine. Did anybody else have a problem with the fucking album cover? Is it upside down? Is it right side?
I had some issues there. Yeah.
I was all messed up. I was like, okay, the picture's upside down, but the words are right side.
I have had
heads. What's going on here?
I have had this record on vinyl since for over 10 years. Since I was in college. And I posted it on my vinyl account on Instagram, and someone commented on it about the picture of them in the ocean, and I'm like, on the front cover, I'm like, what picture of them in the ocean? It's the grill of the amp on that album cover. And I went and looked at it. Their heads are upside down on the bottom of the record.
Like, what's going on here?
I never noticed that before. Wow.
Yeah.
That's you just look at the top and you don't even, it's just like,
yeah.
Oh, cool, Fugazi, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the grill on the,
I remember when it came out, everyone was like, someone fucked up.
That's when you know it was going to be weird.
I wonder if that was a Jason Farrell decision. He did the artwork.
Yeah.
He probably was like, I'm turning them upside down. Put my record out next year.
He called dibs on being record 101.
Yeah.
And one last little note I have here is that I read a Rolling Stone article from the year that this record came out, and the article was complaining that they preached too much on all the records before this, and this is finally the one where they stopped like telling us what to do.
I was looking up some stuff, trying to research a little more about this record, and I seen that John Frusciante calls it a masterpiece.
Yeah, there was a fun list. Like I was looking at it's the Wikipedia for the album shows
all the people that like credit this as a huge influence.
Yeah. And like Travis Shettle from Piebald specifically says, like, we've stolen so many ideas from this record. And then I actually think I heard like one of them that they definitely stole. Like it's let's see if I can find it in my notes. I wrote it down. Let's see. I lost it. I don't know. There was definitely a spot on the record where there it is, back to bass. I was like, oh yeah, Piebald ripped off this intro. Like that's what they ripped off on that for one of their songs. But yeah, who else was on there saying? Dennis Lichten from Refuse considers it their best record and said it influenced the band while recording songs to fan the flames of discontent in the shape of Punk to Come. So of course it did.
Big time. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Refuse just like took everything that came out of DC.
Cursive actually sang about them in one of their songs.
Yeah. Mike Sullivan of Russian Circle cites this, and Shellax at Action Park. And yeah, John Frusciante. Man, imagine that Fugazi and Red Hot Chili Peppers collaboration that never happened.
Could you imagine? Was it Ataxia? It's John Frusciante and Joe Lally, and what else is in that?
I don't know.
Yeah, Ataxia. That's a collab.
See if we can link off on the John Frusciante.
Who was it? The
Josh?
drummer was Josh Klinghoffer from Dot Hacker and Bicycle Thief.
Huh.
He's also the other guitar player just recently.
Right, yeah, he is the other Chili Peppers, yeah.
Still waiting for the Anthony Kiedis, Brendan Canty. Now we're talking. Yeah, I mean,
where Anthony Kiedis.
It's just two percussionists, one with his mouth,
one actually.
See, he could team up with the Mesthetics, because it's like most of Fugazi's rhythm section, and then just say that he's a rhythm instrument.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Just scat on.
I would buy a ticket to that for sure. Are you guys seeing this? This is crazy shit.
Yes.
I can picture it in my head. Right?
Yes.
Good call, dude. Make this happen.
I was thinking, I was like, it's so like these guys that after Fugazi, they don't do anything really like this at all. Like, Ian does an acoustic baritone guitar band with his wife, and the other guys do instrumental, sort of this style, but no vocals. And Joe Lally does his stuff. It's just weird. Like, Joe Lally's amazing, but yeah, like he just does his solo records are just weird. What's Guy done since then?
Producing. So he did the stint of that.
Yeah. Because he did a lot of his other stuff prior. Like he had the other bands before Fugazi. Oh, I didn't know he worked with Vic Chestnut. That's cool.
Did he do Blonde Redheads? Misery is a Butterfly.
Yeah.
I think he produced that one, right?
Yeah,
That's a great album.
Yeah, that album's great.
He did Blood Brothers too.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, wow, he did. That's right.
That makes sense. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, it does actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, he did 2 Vic Chestnut records, North Star Deserter and At the Cut. Oh, that's cool.
Which Blood Brothers album did he do?
The last one.
Young Machetes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. Doing whatever they want. And the thing is, the day Fugazi does decide to do a reunion, it's probably going to be at like some park in DC, and no one will know what was going to happen until like it already happened,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just like suddenly a massive traffic jam of people abandoning their vehicles, running to.
We're all moving to DC after this call.
Just in anticipation for this to happen.
Yeah. I'm just gonna be sitting there in the park, dude, just waiting.
Just insisting that they're like,
it's at the wrong park.
Like, we're just a local band.
For 10 years. Yeah.
We're just a local band. Nobody cares.
Probably advertise it as like just some random band name and just show up and guess what? It's Fugazi.
I can't imagine the emails that they get every single day.
Oh,
just every single day, Ian Mackay logs in and
into his hotmail.
He has like 100 emails from promoters like, we will give you $1 million.
Right?
Yeah. Mohammed bin Salman sending them emails asking, come play.
Wasn't the mayor of DC like offering them? He's a big Fugazi fan. This was a couple years ago. He was offering Fugazi like something to have a reunion, I believe.
Key to the city. Key to the city.
Yeah, at least it's not like, I guess I feel like we'll see a Weaker Thans reunion before we would see a Fugazi reunion, because all you gotta do is probably just send a nice enough postcard to John K. Sampson and say that you're going to donate it to his library. And
right.
I would have said there was a better chance of Husker Du reuniting before Fugazi.
There's still a better chance of Husker Du reuniting.
I don't know. There was a chance of Bob and Grant reuniting.
Yeah.
There's no chance of Bob and what's his name? Greg reuniting, because he's the one they hate the most. But yeah, Grant unfortunately passed away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I've hit all of my notes. Is there any final words on the record anybody wants to say?
I think we've covered it. Yeah.
All good. I just love it. It's a trippy record. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if only he could hit the snare drum consistently every single time. He messed up that one time. And it's,
Oh, dude, it's always just the one time, Tyler.
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
Here's the takeaway from If It Kills You on this album.
It's the one.
Pretty good, but they fucked up that one snare.
Yeah. Once I heard that, I was done.
Turned it off. Well, awesome. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just for the record, it was a beautiful mistake.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're a band whose like mistakes are like almost intentional too.
Yeah,
right?
We meant to do that. We're innovators.
It's experimental.
That's what I say whenever I get behind a drum kit.
Yeah, I'm just
I'm trying to be off time.
Just seeing if you guys were paying attention. That's all.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot of consistent drummers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not one of them.
We don't need another one.
Why do we need more of those?
Yeah, we don't need.
Let's mix it up.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing the show. This was really fun to talk about Fugazi. We've checked off a big name on the list of bands we've never discussed in depth, but
we
thank you for having us.
It's just been spread out across a bunch of different episodes where it's like, well, there's a Fugazi record in the charts, so we got to talk about it for a couple minutes.
Right. We never devoted an entire episode to a Fugazi record, though. So, but tell everyone where we should follow you online, buy the record, or pre-order the record, all that good stuff.
Well, we're on Facebook and Instagram, on Twitter. Are we?
I think we were.
We're not on Twitter.
I think Elon Musk locked me out.
We got our record resides right now if it kills you.co. And yeah.
All right.
And appreciate you having us on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So much fun.
This has been fun, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing the show. Like when the record came out, I was like, oh, this record's really good. Like I really like it. Oh, I wonder if I should reach out to them. And then like I think Justin, you signed up for the Patreon, I guess, just to hear what I said about it.
Yeah,
and,
that's curiosity.
You're not the only one who's done that.
It's like he's like right when he said something, I'm waiting for one of those guys to dive in. Oh, there he is. Got him.
Gotcha. Gotcha, bitch.
We've definitely had that actually happen a couple times. I guess everybody's always just a little curious. Really though, if they would have just messaged me, I would be like, all right, yeah, I'll send it to you. You don't have to pay $1 to hear this.
Well, it's cool, $1.
Yeah. But and I was like, I should definitely message them and see if he wants to come on the show. So
we all appreciate it. And hopefully we did the Red Medicine some justice.
Yeah,
about it.
I think so.
Because we're weird too, so
yeah,
we're
weird.
Yeah.
We got to this gig and this really young kid ran up to me. I had some iced tea or something, and he ran up to me and he said, "This is the first person who talked to me." He said, "Oh, you're drinking iced tea?" I said, "Yeah." It was like this unsweetened iced tea. Yeah. He was like, "Well, my friend says caffeine's a drug." I said, "Oh, tell your friend, fuck you."